Hello, everyone. Today's topic is a Buddhist viewpoint. What kind of people are affected by strong materialistic desire? Most would likely define a person with strong materialistic desire as someone who will buy anything they want, even if they can't really afford it, maxing out credit cards, spending all their cash, and taking out loans. Even if their credit card gets terminated, they'll still be eager to buy more. The truth is, however, that it's not only a specific kind of person that has strong materialistic desire, it's all of us. Buddhism calls materialistic desire the desire for wealth. This is one of the most prominent of the blind passions that make up human beings, and it has an incredibly strong grip on us. We want money, we want possessions, we want all the things we can get our hands on. This nagging desire is something that everyone is afflicted with. Even Master Shinran confessed that he was troubled by a great mountain of desire for wealth. The kind of person who maxes out credit cards, takes out loans, and ends up neck deep in debt just to get what they want is someone who has been swept off their feet by their own desire for wealth. Even if that's not how we are right now because of our desire for wealth, we're always at risk of ending up like that. Therefore, if we don't exercise enough self-restraint, this desire could easily ruin our lives. As they say, prevention is better than cure. So today I'd like to talk about what kind of suffering our desire for wealth can lead us into and why striving to fulfill this desire won't bring us happiness, based on what is taught in Buddhism. I hope that this will help make clear to you the danger of letting our materialistic desire control us and why there's no real joy, peace of mind, or satisfaction to be found in overindulging this desire. Today I will talk about these 3 points. 1. The more we have, the more we want. 2. The fear of having things stolen. 3. The terrible things greed can make us do. One dangerous aspect of materialistic desire is that even after we manage to gain something, we just end up wanting more of it. Buddhism teaches of hungry ghosts who lack wealth and hungry ghosts who have wealth. A hungry ghost is a being who is constantly suffering because of their endless desire. Some hungry ghosts suffer because they lack money and possessions, while others suffer because despite already having plenty of money and possessions, they just keep wanting more, more, more. In this way, people who have little will be wanting what they don't have, while people who have a lot will keep wanting more of what they have as well as new and interesting things. So no matter what we may do to fulfill these desires, we'll continue wanting things all the same. We think that if we satisfy our desires, they'll stop bothering us, but that's actually not true. Buddhism teaches that we will just keep wanting more and more, and that we will never cease to be troubled by our desire for wealth. American psychologist Michael Norton published a fascinating study focusing on people with assets of $1 million and above. He asked the 20,000 participants, how much money would you need in order to feel 100% satisfied? Almost all of the millionaires said that they'd need about 2-3 times more than what they currently had. One might say that if you have $1 million in the bank, the interest alone will be enough for you to be able to live a comfortable life. So what more could you really need? But the fact that even a millionaire can still feel they don't have enough money shows that it's impossible for us to be satisfied, no matter how much wealth we may have. If someone who struggled to make ends meet on a monthly take-home salary of between $1,000 $2,500 was asked how things would be if they got 2 or 3 times that, they'd probably sigh wistfully about how much it helped and how much happier and more at ease they'd feel. That's probably something that many people can relate to. But for someone earning $1 million a month to say they require 2 or 3 times that in order to be happy seems absurd. Many people are hungry ghosts who lack wealth rather than hungry ghosts who have wealth, and so tend to think they'd cease to be troubled by materialistic desire if only they could have the wealth they want. But actually, the more you have, the more you want. That's human nature. This is a graph that shows life satisfaction in Japan relative to changes in GDP per person. It starts with 1958, which coincides with the beginning of Japan's post-war period of rapid economic growth. The GDP per person is now 6 times what it used to be then. But what about life satisfaction? It's had some small ups and downs, but it's hardly changed at all. In 1958, people would go out to eat once or twice a year, and they'd really look forward to it. In fact, my mother told me that when she was young, her family would eat out once or twice in 5 years. Nowadays, though, many Japanese people eat out every week. So people really have become richer over time. The last 30 years, from the 90s to the 2010s, was a time of economic stagnation, yet even so, yearly income has been steadily rising, with it now being 6 times what it used to be. So, does this mean we are 6 times happier? No, we're not even twice as happy. You can see that the line has leveled off. So this shows us that life satisfaction does not actually correlate with income. Many people probably feel quite certain that the higher your income, the more satisfied and at ease you'll be. But Buddhism teaches that while those who lack wealth suffer because of their lack, those who have wealth actually also suffer because the more they have, the more they want. In that sense, they're both the same. While it's impossible to stop wanting things altogether, if you see that materialistic desire really does make you suffer, regardless of how rich you may be, you'll be better able to restrain that desire. If we don't exercise caution, after all, we could easily become one of the many people who wreck their own lives with their desire for wealth. Rather than simply feeling happier if we gain more things, we end up suffering for a different reason, having to maintain those things. In Buddhism, it is taught that rich people are like stewards of wealth, and poor people are like off-duty stewards. Stewards don't have to do their jobs while they're off duty. Sometimes they have to be on the job, while at other times they can just laze about and watch TV at home. Which of the two is better? Having to be on the job is tiring, whereas getting a day off means they can relax. If an on-duty steward of wealth represents a rich person, while an off-duty steward represents a poor person, and it's less burdensome to be off-duty, that means it's less burdensome to be poor. How so? Once you have money, you fret about its maintenance and management, worrying that someone might steal it. This then makes you suspicious of everyone. After all, if you're rich, then people will be drawn to you because they want money. Some of them will want to try to steal your money and may actively try to trick you or smooth talk you into parting with it. This leads you to gradually lose trust in people. If you don't have money, you won't have to use all that energy worrying about people getting close to you just to get at your money. There is an ancient Mesopotamian proverb that goes, "Who possesses much silver may be happy, who possesses much barley may be glad, but he who has nothing at all may sleep." Clearly, this is something that hasn't changed since before the Common Era. In modern times, people who own stocks, land, real estate, and the like are always restlessly watching what is happening with cryptocurrencies and the state of global finances, worried about what might be yet to come. This painting depicts the ancient Greek tale, The Sword of Damocles. In it, we see a feast for a king with fine foods and wine, as well as beautiful women all around. The man sitting on the throne was a courtier named Damocles, who expressed admiration for the lavish lifestyle of his king, Dionysus. To this, the king responded, "Then do you wish to try being king for a day?" Damocles got to try being king, so he was allowed to sit on the grand throne, where beautiful women would bring to him exquisite foods and wine. He was now the focus of the most extravagant party. At first he was thrilled, but then he happened to notice a sword above his head, hanging from a single horsehair attached to the ceiling. Damocles was so startled, he fell off of the throne. Then King Dionysus said to him, "Well, have you had a taste of what it's like to be king? A king endlessly walks alongside danger. One might envy a king for living in the lap of luxury, but his life is always in danger, as if a sharp sword is constantly dangling precariously over his head, suspended by a thin hair that might snap at any point." The Roman Empire stretched over a vast area, commanding great power and wealth and developing a glorious and lofty image. Yet the majority of Roman emperors were assassinated. Those who weren't poisoned or otherwise murdered died in battle. Very few Roman emperors died peacefully in their sleep. You can really tell from this just how much of a target their position made them. So what this shows us is that those who have wealth suffer from the fear of having the things they own stolen from them. 16th century Japanese feudal lord Toyotomi Hideyoshi feared assassination so much that he had secret escape routes installed in the bathrooms of his lavish residences. This would allow him to run to safety from intruders whenever he needed to. Usually, we think of the home as a safe place to relax, and the bathroom all the more so. Outside of the home, we might be shouted at by our boss, accosted by a stranger, or have to face some other kind of unpleasant or frightening encounter, but in the privacy of our own bathroom at home, we usually feel we have no reason to worry. Yet it was in his bathrooms that Hideyoshi put his escape routes, as he was constantly aware that his life was in danger. We might envy his power and wealth, but could we really call his life a happy one? Toyotomi Hideyoshi was born Hiyoshimaru, the son of a pauper, and as a child he had a lot of freedom to roam as he wished. When he grew tired, he would often just lie down by a riverbank and sleep there. Once he became the ruler of Japan, Hideyoshi probably looked back fondly on those times, which were free from the constant anxiety of knowing a single slip-up could cost him his life. His predecessor, Oda Nobunaga, had lost everything precisely because he had it all, ending up dying as a result of being betrayed. Hideyoshi knew that next it would be his turn to lose everything, so he must surely have always been on tenterhooks. Where once he was upbeat and easygoing, in his later years, Hideyoshi would be gripped by paranoia. After becoming convinced his nephew Hidetsugu was plotting against him, he ordered him to commit seppuku, then ordered the execution of Hidetsugu's family, including his wives, concubines, and children. He also purged his closest aide, the famed tea master Senno Rikyu, whom he had once trusted more than any other. In the end, he felt he could trust no one at all. Despite having become the ruler of the entirety of Japan, Toyotomi Hideyoshi clearly never managed to obtain happiness. He too lived his life with a sword dangling above him, never able to be at peace. Our materialistic desire leads us to commit dreadful deeds, and as a consequence, we end up suffering. Young people who make a living on part-time work may end up being tricked into working as bank transfer scammers. These predatory companies target young people who are desperate for money. The new workers might realize at some point that they're involved in something bad and wrong, yet their financial desperation pushes them to stay on at this shady business. In many cases, they end up being arrested and their lives are ruined. There are also reports of people offering a home care service who then steal money and goods from their clients' houses, which they then use to fund their own lifestyles. The reason given is that their wage is just too low to live on, and they find themselves desperate for money. But when they're found out, that too leads to them being arrested. When we find ourselves up to our necks in debt and desperation takes hold, we might very well resort to stealing or other such crimes. Indeed, there is no end to reports of people being caught and sentenced for doing that very thing. Even people who have money end up stealing, fueled by greed. There have also been numerous cases where companies have concealed defects in their products in hopes of not losing money. When companies discover a defect, they are supposed to recall the product or have the customers return it, since it might be dangerous or harmful. If a car has a defect, for instance, that can have serious consequences for the drivers, who might even end up being involved in a crash because of it. However, recalling a product results in a huge financial loss for the company, so it's something that companies would rather not have happen. Because of this, a company president might instead choose to cover up a defect, ordering their employees to keep quiet about it and carry on as normal. When the cover-up is exposed, it results in a huge scandal. Cases like this seem to happen year after year. Of course, though, if a company is honest and recalls the product, they might run the risk of going bankrupt. This is why the company president might order a cover-up instead. However, depending on the product, doing so might well put lives at risk. A defective plane, for instance, could crash and kill everyone on board. Even so, this fact gets ignored and the president disallows their employees from speaking about it. So these company presidents and managers have wealth, but what leads them to cover up defects, despite knowing that it's wrong to do so, is their desire to protect that wealth. As a result, trust in the company is lost, which may lead the company to ruin. Indeed, our materialistic desire easily pushes us to do things that cross the line. There is a Japanese saying that goes, "A samurai, even when he has not eaten, uses a toothpick like a lord." However little a samurai might have, and even if he is hungry from having not eaten for days, he never loses his pride, using a toothpick to give the impression he has just enjoyed a hearty meal. It might sound like a jab at samurai, but what this saying conveys to us is the pride and decorum with which samurai conducted themselves. In other words, we always need to be mindful that no matter how much we may desire money, that doesn't mean we can just do whatever we want in order to get it. If we cross the line, we are sure to regret it. In many cases, our materialistic desire leads us to trample the feelings of others. There was once an 80-year-old man who lived with his eldest son and daughter-in-law. When he was diagnosed with liver cancer, his son urged him to go into hospital for surgery, so that was what he did. The son, assuming his father wasn't going to make it, started listing up people whom he'd have to notify of his father's death. The daughter-in-law closed the old man's bank account and used the money that was in it on his medical fees. While the two were making these preparations, the old man went in for his operation. It actually went surprisingly well, and he was soon able to go back home. His son and daughter-in-law were disappointed. "I can't believe he's still kicking after all that," grumbled the son to his wife. "Man, what a letdown." What they did not realize, however, was that the old man could hear everything they were saying. They had just assumed he was too hard of hearing to catch it. He cursed them for their cruelty, and although they apologized, the damage was done. It's quite common to hear of fights breaking out amongst family members because they value money over familial kindness and love. As the saying goes, while relatives of the deceased shed tears, they seek to take the best share of the inheritance. Even in the middle of a funeral or a wake, as the attending relatives dab away their tears with handkerchiefs, all that actually fills their heads is the matter of how much inheritance money they'll get. This is the grim reality of human nature. Our materialistic desire easily leads us to care more about how much money a parent has left us than about their death. The more money they have left behind, the more violent the feuds between siblings will be regarding who gets what. In fact, news stories abound of siblings doing battle with each other for years and even killing each other over it. The parents probably hoped the inheritance money would bring happiness to their children, yet all too often it only serves to fuel discord between them. This is the kind of dark path our materialistic desire can lead us down, a path that leads only to misery. Let us be mindful of the danger posed by unchecked materialistic desire. Today, we have learned about the harm that materialistic desire can do. We might assume that only other people end up consumed by this desire and suffering as a result, but the desire for wealth is within all of us, and if we are not careful, any of us may end up being enticed by it into ruining our own lives. Indeed, Buddhism teaches that the desire for wealth is one of the blind passions which trouble and torment us by pushing us to commit all sorts of terrible, harmful deeds. Let us bear this well in mind and think twice the next time we find ourselves tempted to indulge this nagging desire. On this channel, I discuss the Buddhist teachings from a number of different angles, so if that sounds interesting to you, I'd be delighted if you'd subscribe to my channel. Thank you for watching today's video.